Hi everyone, welcome back to Bernina Club. It is March 2021. Today I'm going to show you a product I've been using with my machine, embroidery machine. However, I'm going to show you how you can use it on your normal sewing machine. So first of all, I'll show you what I made on the embroidery machine. So these are little decorations and they have been done with Washaway in my hoop. And then they have got, this one has got fabric and then chiffon and then a product called Mylar on the top, which has made it beautiful and shiny and iridescent. I have got bleeping going on. This one here has been made with the Washaway, and then it has got a layer of organza, and then it's got a layer of the Mylar, and it's been stitched. Okay, so I'm going to show you what the product is I'm talking about. We'll just hang this over here. It's very pretty. So Mylar is a plastic type fabric that is very, very shiny. And you buy it in sheets like this. And you can sew over it. You have to use something underneath it, obviously, but you get this beautiful sheen. So it'd be really, really lovely for fairy wings or, you know, windows or anything that you want to end up iridescent. So I'm just going to cut a piece of this and show you how you can use it on your sewing machine as maybe an applique or something like that. So I'll show you how it works. So first of all, I want to have my fabric so it's going to be nice and firm. So what I've got here is I've just got a piece of white calico and I've got a piece of Tearaway. So I'm going to use the Tearaway, as you see it tears away, as a base. I'm going to put my fabric on the bottom. Now I could, if I wanted to, use a patterned fabric as my base, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use my white. Look, why don't I do half of each? Because it will look quite different anyway. Why don't I put a little bit of patterned and a little bit of the white, and then you can see what it looks like when it's finished. So it'll give you a little bit of an idea of how you can layer things up. So I'm just going to lay this down like this, and I'm going to have some of white and some of a patterned fabric. And then you can use organza or chiffon. This was from, somebody gave me some flowers. So I'm just going to use this fabric because this was left over from some flowers that I'd been given. So I'm going to cut a piece of that. And then I'm going to lay my Mylar down on top. So I've got a few layers there and you can see how shiny it is. Now with this method, all I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch rows of stitches down through all my layers. Okay? I'm not going to pin it or anything. I'm just going to start stitching and I'll go from the middle out. So I'm going to put on, I'll leave my 1D foot on. I've got my dual feed on and I've put a shiny pink thread on so my stitches show up. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick some pretty patterned floral stitches that might look really, really nice with Mylar. So I have got my 790 here today and I've got 9mm stitches, but you can do rows and rows of 5mm stitches to make your design. So I'm just going to center that over the top. This just gives a little bit more sheen. It'd be interesting to see what it's like on this fabric. And you'll see the difference with the fabric underneath or the plain white and the pink. Just bring that down a little bit. There we go. So under the light here now, it looks quite blue. Before it looked quite pink, so it definitely changes. So you want to pick designs that are kind of open so that they're not all stitching on top of each other. It's quite an open stitch. So if you pick a design that you think when you start sewing is a little bit closed up, lengthen it. Okay, so I'm just going to start with this design and see, oh, I do like it. It's going to show the sheen of the Mylar through, and it's a little floral stitch. and I'll go a little bit faster so you can see it. So that's my machine on full speed. Don't worry about the Mylar sort of pulling in a little bit because it really doesn't tend to mind. It's just a plastic. This can be washed. So you know how I said my design here, I did this on Washaway. So these holes, this had fabric all behind it, and when I washed it away, that all washed away, but I was left with my beautiful design. So you can wash this. It can go into garments because it is just a plastic. It will not biodegrade down. It's not probably very user-friendly for that type of thing, but it's perfect for what we're doing. So I've done my first row, and you could draw a line if you wanted it to be down the centre of a piece of fabric. I'm just going to use my scissors to cut. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do rows of stitching, and I'm just going to pick a design that I'm going to mirror image over, and it's like a scallop. So I've got it on pattern begin because I want to start on this side, and then I'm going to go over this side and mirror image it. So this is just like a kind of cool scallop because I want to leave a little bit of the Mylar so you can see it on the fabric, pattern fabric, and on the white. But as you can see, even by starting to do it, the pattern fabric just disappears and you can't really see what design that was. Fun. Can you see? Oh, I pulled that. Oops, I caught that a bit. See how this is going? Don't worry because it's all just flattens out when you stitch. Quite good fun. So I'm going to do the same on the other side, but rather than turn it over, I'm just going to push mirror image and stitch on the other side. And I'm going to cut it with my scissors, and then on the screen I'm going to mirror image it. Oops, wrong way, that way. So it's mirror image the other side. Right, so now I'm going down through here, and I'm going to start in the same spot. That's a cool pattern, a lovely scallop. I'm going to stitch on this side. You could actually use this for making braids. Looking at this, you could actually use this for making braids. It would look quite cool. But I'm just running the foot along the edge of my design so I get a little bit of a gap there, and then I'm going to put another stitch through that gap. So it just flattens it all out. It's quite bizarre. And you could repeat the same design all the way across your fabric if you liked. There are no rules to this one. One of my favourite designs, that one. And cut my threads off. Now, so I have got a pattern down the middle, and I've got a stitch either side. Now in between here I'm going to do another design, so now I've got a line to follow because I can see where I'm going, and I think I will just use the triple zigzag. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a bit narrower, so I've gone to 5 there, and I'll leave it on 3. So now I'm just going to do the triple zigzag through the middle and go a little bit slower so that I can line it all up. So have fun with your different stitches because it is easy, really easy. Just layer them all up and do lots of stitching on it. So what I'm going to be doing with this bit of fabric is I'm going to be making an applique out of it. So I'm actually stitching my base fabric and then it will be appliqued. And sometimes you'll do a stitch and you're like, yeah, I wish I hadn't have done that. But you know what? You can do a practice piece first if you like. I just go for it. make it work. I'm going to cut. Then I'm going to go back up to the beginning. Now that looks cool. And I'm going to do the same here. Now what I want to do is I want to push pattern begin, and I want to mirror image it so that it flips to the other side and starts in the same place. So if you want to have a look on the screen, where am I? Here. If you want to have a look on the screen, here's my zigzag, and I'm just going to push my mirror image button, you see, like that, and it's flicked it over. So I'll do that again. That's where it was, and I want to start it on this side so that both of them start in exactly the same place. It's nice and easy. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch down this way, and I'm just lining it up with my foot and my pattern. So now that has flattened out all my mylar. And this is a triple zigzag. I've just got white, I was just going to say, don't go too far so you don't break your good thread, and I just did. I've got white thread on the bobbin. So I have actually, oh there it is. I was going to say I've lost my thread in there, but I haven't. Here it is. Try not to go too fast. I was getting too keen because you're working with embroidery thread. So just take it a little bit slower, Robin. Now I want to line up my triple zigzag so that it's in the same place, and I can see exactly it stopped on the left hand side here. So I am going to push pattern begin. I'm going to mirror image it back the other way, and it'll start right in that same spot there. So I kind of can do that as well. If you want to, if you're doing this and you want to, because you're worried, rather than thread that thread through at the end, you could go on and push your knot if you've got it, and it will knot off 5 times before it sews. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it's sewing. So you can do that as well. Then you know you can just cut that thread. So I will go a little bit slower on my triple zigzag. I've got a 90 needle in. Now the reason why I've got that in, because I can leave that in for the whole class, because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of fabric, and so I'm using my 90 needle, and I can also use it for my wool felting I'm going to do. Oh, okay, my thread broke again, and I can see why. Can you have a look up here? That's why my thread broke. Okay, so I should have, when it broke last time, I should have checked that. So just unhook it and make sure you have no knots. And there we are. So now I just need to do that again. So interesting. So yes, I needed to go slower, but also it had caught. Okay, so what I would normally do is cut it here, pull it down, rethread it, and make sure your foot is up when you're rethreading it. So that's good, because that will happen to you at home as well, and you will wonder what's going on. So always trace it back to see what's going on, because it's a bit of a nuisance. Now I'm just going to pull that thread out and cut it and see where we're at. Just going to take that back a couple of stitches just by pulling it underneath. All right, so I can make sure that I've got my thread at the back when I start. And I'm going to trim that one. I'm going to lock it off here. So I'm going to cut this off anyway. But I now want to start on the right hand side. So I'm going to push pattern begin, and I'm going to mirror image it so it starts on the right hand side. So you know, your machines can do whatever you ask them to do. So I'm going to lock it off. For 5. I'm going to be cutting this off anyway, but it's good just to show you how you do things like that. Okay, so there's my 1, 2, 3, 5 rows of stitches. Now what I'll do is I'll choose a bigger one to go around on the outside, so you're not waiting for half the day. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my 40C foot. Now my 40C foot means I can sew in 16 different directions, and this machine can do that. So if you have a machine that's got 9mm width stitches, normally you can sew in different directions. So I'm going to go and find them. Now, how you find them, if you look on the screen here, how you find them is you will see, move, you will see that there is some folders with crosses on them. See there, there's crosses on the folders. So they mean that those are 16 directional stitches. So if I push one, all of these are 16 different directional. Okay, I'll go back up to my folders, I'll show another one. So 16 different directions, it means I can sew different ways. Okay, so let's have a look, what else is there? Oh, there's more designs and more designs. So one of my favorites is here. So I'm going to choose, let's choose the pretty hearts. Okay, so you watch what happens when I start sewing. So I've got the 40 C-foot, and the machine, if you have a look here, has changed to the 40 C-foot when I put it on. Okay, and so now I can start sewing. So I'm just going to start further over because I know the stitch is going to go over to the left. And my machine is going to go forwards, backwards, sideways, make a heart. And it's going to come over and make another heart on this side. Isn't that clever? I'm not being very fussy with my Mylar because I really just need to show you, don't sweat the small stuff because it all just looks really pretty when it's finished, but normally I'd flatten it out a bit. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So the beauty about doing different stitches like this is I can then go and stitch around this and fill it in a bit more. It's just to have fun with your machines. You're beautiful flattening out there, Robin. How cool is that though? Let the machine do the work. There we go. So that's just one of the many designs on some of these machines. So you can see how I've got that. Now I've got all this in here. Look what I can do. I can put on my, I'll just use this foot actually, any darning foot, but I've just got this one on hand, which is my height adjustable foot. And I'm going to put my machine onto straight sewing, and I'm going to drop my feed dogs down. So I've made my machine into a quilting machine, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to quilt, bring my bobbin thread up, and I'm going to stitch around the other side of these hearts to show you that you can also freehand stitch on this Mylar. I don't need to thread that through because I've locked it off. So I'm going to fill in this beautiful mess I've made here, which will be cool. And you can set your foot for the height of the fabric. So I've got a very flat fabric, so I've rolled that down to set on the height. Now, what I can do is I can go around my design, echoing it if I want to, or I could fill it in completely. You can go back. So there's lots of different stitches you can do, but sometimes echoing looks just great. So I'm just going forwards and backwards, filling it in, and I'm just following the shape of my design. And see how the Mylar just flattens out with you? It's really cool. That actually looks very, very cool. So if I want to fill all this in more, I've now echoed it. What I would do is I would just go in and fill it in either with circles or scribbles, just to fill in that so it flattens it. And I'm just filling in those little gaps. Or you can go round and around and around. Just fill them in so you're flattening that all down. Because remember, this is going to become an applique anyway, so it's going to be quite it's going to be cut up. So don't stress about how you fill it in. If you would rather, you can do zigzags. I'm just doing the odd circle here. Bit of stippling, doesn't really matter, but don't go too fast with your embroidery thread on. So see how you just flatten the mylar out? It is plastic after all. And you make it look quite different. Oop, don't go too fast. I can do figure 8. That fills things in really, really well. Alright, but if you'd rather just do circles, or a circle and then a circle the opposite way. It really doesn't matter what you do. Or you can just scribble like this. But I won't go changing that too much. Okay, so you can see you can do whatever you like. Can you see the difference? I'm going to hold this up. Is that alright in the light? Okay, so you can see the difference. So I've done my outline, then I've filled all that in. So now I could do the same on the other side, or I could cut a shape. Now you can see on this side it's got the fabric underneath, so it looks darker. On this side it's white. So what I'm going to do is I've done some stitching here, and I've cut out the shape of an Easter egg. And so this one was white fabric, and it was blue blue fabric. I'm just trying to think what it was. It might have been chiffon, and then the mylar. So this is my egg shape I've cut out. So I'm going to do an egg out of this one here, and I'm going to do an egg out of this one here, and you'll see the difference. I'm going to put the heart at the top of the egg, and you could either draw that or just cut it out. I'm just going to cut it out because it's an Easter egg at the end of the day. I'm not going to worry about it too much, because Easter is coming, and these can be little applique eggs, and you can use them on cards. You can leave the tearaway behind it for stability if you like, but that's an okay egg shape. There we go. Ah, that looks really pretty. And then I'll do another one on here, and I'm using the heart at the top of the egg. Oh, can I come over there? No, I can't. Heart at the top of the egg. There we go. And I'll just cut this one out. So you'll see how different they look with fabric on one, and just the fabric off some flowers I was given on the other one. Organza is the word I'm thinking of. It came to me. So the blue one is organza, but you can use organza or chiffon, whatever you like. Look how different they look. Can you see? So this one is quite dark, and this one is quite light, but they're really pretty. So you just have fun with your fabric, but it's the product that's amazing. So that's what I wanted to show you today, the mylar. And look how different all my little Easter eggs are going to look. They're quite sweet. So yeah, and you can keep your little bits and pieces and use them for other other cards making or anything you want to do, or they can be appliqued onto garments because they will wash. So yeah, have a little bit of fun. That's $12 a pack for the mylar, or you can buy it in pieces. We just sell pieces for $3.50 if you just want to try it. So there you go. There's the first lesson, and I'll see you shortly.